Happy New Year, everyone! So after wearing historical fashion every day for some years, a lot of surprising benefits have come to light, and they're part of why I keep wearing it. Some of these make sense logically, it's just that they're one of those things that you don't really believe in until after you try it yourself. And just for reference, I'm not talking about antique historical garments here, rather the reproduction ones. Also, this is just my personal opinion, and I consulted with a couple of friends who wear historical fashion every day, so your opinion might be totally different, and that's okay. Firstly, I feel I'm more equipped for drastic changes in weather because of the layers. Multiple layers of natural fibers seem to regulate body temperature a lot better, and historical wardrobes, especially for the colder months, can often be very wool heavy. And wool has so many amazing properties like being slightly water resistant and having natural antimicrobial abilities. It's one of my favorite fabrics, and it even works really well for warmer months if it's a summer weight wool. So it's very versatile. Which leads me to my next point, that historical fashion can be more sustainable, depending of course on how it's made, or perhaps what the intention behind it is, because I doubt that all historical fashion is extremely sustainable. But as I have an everyday wardrobe and all the things that I make for myself are hand-stitched, I'd hope that they are sustainable, especially because I make them so slowly and I don't have a massive amount of garments. And I know exactly who made them, and if it wasn't me, then it was likely a small indie shop, so I'm supporting a small business and communicating with them directly, which is always an added bonus. I try and buy mostly genuine dead stock fabric as well, and I get to make decisions in regards to sourcing materials, and I have a deeper glimpse into the entire manufacturing process since I'm directly involved in it. Additionally, my clothes can all be mended and repaired a bunch of times. Many of my garments I will likely still be repairing and altering 20 years from now. Often with fast fashion, you find that once a garment reaches a certain wear down point, which can actually sometimes be after a few wears, it becomes hard, if not impossible, to mend. Historical fashion and just quality made fashion in general, you know, where garment workers are paid a living wage, is made for mending and alterations, and it can withstand this. Not to bash on fast fashion, of course, as I do recognize that people buying it out of necessity are not the issue. The issue is the corrupt way in which these companies are run, and also individuals who have the money to support more ethical businesses but actively choose not to because consumerism and giving into rapidly changing trends, but I digress. Next is that you can get clothes that are a lot more custom fit, whether that be telling a supplier your measurements or if you make it yourself. And the great thing about making clothes just for you is that you only need to be able to fit garments to your own body. Knowing that somehow made the entire process so much less overwhelming for me, because then I just focused on getting an understanding for my own measurements and learning what I felt I looked good in. This one might confuse some people, but it's super easy to go to the bathroom in historical fashion, especially out in nature. I would say even easier than in a lot of modern clothing because jeans and trousers. At least for mid to late Victorian women's wear, which is a lot of what I wear, you have split crotch drawers or split crotch combinations. I've made a reel in the past about how to use the bathroom in historical clothing, and it's super simple. You just hold up your skirts and you shift your shift around, well, chemise technically. Oh my gosh, is that why it's called a shift? And then there you go, that's it. Yep. You can imagine as well, in nature, this is extremely convenient and people won't even realize you've gone somewhere and you'll already be back. It's very, very stealthy. Another added bonus is you have back support, and that helps with desk work, sitting work, or just a favorite on this YouTube channel, sewing. This is primarily if you wear some type of support garment like a girdle, stays, corset, etc. But even sometimes a tight fit waistcoat and high-waisted trousers can provide a little bit of back support. Before we go any further, I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's video, Skillshare. Everyone has a different goal in mind when joining Skillshare, and for me that was finding ways to trust and empower myself on my creative journey. Entering a creative field can be incredibly scary, and thinking about your future can also be incredibly intimidating. I believe that no goal is too small, but let's take the pressure off by taking it one step at a time. Maybe your goal is to boost creative confidence and silence your inner critic like mine has been. Skillshare has a class for that. Or perhaps you'd like to organize personal projects to build your portfolio and get the gigs you want. They have a class for that too. Skillshare has been an integral part of my journey as a creative and honing in on the skills that I want to expand upon. I'll be the first to tell you that traditional work or jobs are not a one-size-fits-all all. I mean, come on, that's part of why I went freelance a number of years ago, and part of why I make content for you all today. I never really saw myself in a 9-to-5 setting, and Skillshare helps to design a career to fit you and your goals. One of my major goals in the realm of sewing has been building up my knowledge of my ethnic dress, Kazan Tatar fashion. I've been diligently studying the craft with any resources I can find, and I've started making garments, which I plan to go into further depth about in the future. One of the techniques regularly used in Kazan Tatar fashion is actually chain stitch embroidery, and I've been meaning to learn it for a while. Believe it or not, but Skillshare actually has an incredibly helpful class for that. I recently explored the course Chain Stitch Embroidery, Upcycle a Garment into Art by Kathy Sever, who's a designer and an artist. And I've been working on chain stitch embroidering a Tatar piece, which is a head covering known as arpaik. This piece is definitely going to be a work in progress for a while, but it'll become a future staple of my wardrobe. If you'd like to redefine your work or achieve a new skill this year, jumpstart your 2023 goals now with this exclusive offer and try Skillshare for free for 7 days, and then you'll get 20% off your first year. Thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Now back to the surprising benefits of wearing historical fashion daily. Another thing that might shock people is that I have to do a lot less laundry. I know you're thinking, but with all those layers, you must be drowning in laundry. I'm actually not. Most of the laundry I do is undergarments because they absorb most of the sweat, oils, etc. from my body, so those get washed often. But the outer garments, I wash a lot less, and there's a lot more preventative cleaning in between, like spraying with alcohol, brushing, spot cleaning, and so on. Okay, hear me out on this one, but I found that since I've started wearing historical fashion, I get catcalled a lot less often. Catcalling is obviously a horrible thing, and I believe it shouldn't exist in the first place because we should all be able to walk on the street and feel safe, but sadly catcalling does happen. And I've noticed now though, instead of catcalling some profane remark, people will just yell Amish, or acting in the theater, or Mary Poppins, or wow, your dress, which I think I prefer over some of the alternative comments that I used to receive. So yeah, that's oddly an improvement. Next is that when you meet someone else that also wears historical fashion, you have an almost instant friendship. I think this probably goes for most fashion groups or lifestyle choices. I have a number of goth and alternative friends, for example, and when they meet other alternative people, they tend to have a pretty instant connection because they share that common ground and that common interest. This is one of my favorite reasons, which is I get to wear walking art or some form of art constantly on my body. I also get to therefore support other artists or my own art, which is great. It's also oddly motivating to sew something when you know that you're going to be wearing it with pride for the next decade or so. You also get sun protection and protection from the elements with historical fashion, or really any fashion that covers your skin, since the best way to protect your skin, at least according to my dermatologist, is by covering it. A lot of historical garments pre-zipper era, so pre-1937, feature buttons and hook eye fasteners or even laces. And these fastening options can often be easier to deal with than zippers. Sure, zippers are quick, but they snag and they break a lot, and I've heard that they're a nightmare to work with. Buttons and hooks and eyes, on the other hand, can be pretty easily switched out, and if one goes missing, you can attach another instead, rather than having to replace an entire zipper and perform garment surgery when it breaks. And lastly, I get to be my authentic self, and I don't have to roll with what society has deemed is right for me. I get to decide that for myself, and as long as I don't pay too much attention to disproving judgments or concerns about the choices that I make for my own life and my own sense of style, then I'm presented with such a massive source of joy in my everyday world. Thanks so much for watching. If you'd like to know why I'll probably never sew a corset, be sure to watch this video next. I hope you've enjoyed this fun little rant, and I'll see you all in 2 weeks for another video.